pulled up my iPhone, but Heidi's got it to record the sermon. But I'm a slave to my iPhone. And one of the reasons I'm a slave to my iPhone is because of the GPS program that is built into it, which then relies on a pretty powerful bit of map software. So for instance, the first time that I would visit any of you on a pastoral visit or find some of the hospitals and nursing homes and the like I visit is I go into the iPhone, type in GPS, and it leads me there. Okay, it leads me there. But there are others. I had a house I had to get to in Tucson the other night, and without the map program on my iPhone and GPS, there's no way I could have found this place. Not only that, I needed it to get home because where this place was, I could have spent 3 nights back there. The underlying map programs are really pretty powerful, and they're on the desktop as well. So I thought that I would take a look and find how far it is to walk from Giza in Egypt, which is about the place where the Exodus started, to Jericho, which is where Joshua led the people across the river at the end of the Exodus. In other words, how many miles would the Exodus be and how long would it take to walk? We do have topographical concerns, but basically the answer is it would be 742 kilometers, 460 miles, okay, and 151 hours to walk. 151 hours, oh geez, I mean that's not bad at all. I mean if you it's a short time. That's averaging, but that's figuring that you're walking 3 miles in an hour, which is it's a modest but a fairly good pace. But let's assume for argument's sake that with small kids and everything, you could only walk about 2 miles an hour. 2 miles. And let's go further. Let's say that you only walked 8 hours out of the day. That, which again, with small kids, with possessions, time to eat, time to watch the evening television shows and everything. 28 days. Okay, 28 days to walk from Giza to, I use Jerusalem because Jericho doesn't show up on the destinations part of the map, but they're close, okay. 28 days. But then again, somewhere along the route, early in the route, they get the 10 Commandments, and so you're not going to walk on Sundays. So that adds, if you just figure in there, that's 5 more days. So 33 days. 33 days to walk from Giza to Jericho. And let's say that, okay, so they had to take a couple days off when Moses went up on the mountain. And they had some battles they had to fight. So let's just say, okay, not 33 days. Let's give them a huge estimate. 90 days, 3 months. The Exodus should have taken 3 months. How long did it take? 40 years. Where's the cartoon? Are you sure you put in the right destination? It says we'll arrive in 40 years. Well, and the truth is, there are all kinds of different ideas as to what the paths would be. It's interesting because I'm thinking. I think all of us can remember either when we were kids or when we had kids, we'd be on the way to Grandma's house. When are we going to get there? Which is kind of what Richard read. When are we going to get there? And even before GPS, we or our parents could always answer within a day. What was going on? What was going on? And nobody knows for sure what the route of the Exodus was. Topography would have caused them problems and so on. 460 miles. I drive more than that every week. And it's kind of neat because at least when I'm going from Florence to my house or otherwise, 40 miles each way is between Cactus Forest Road and Oracle Junction. It's fabulous. It's a beautiful drive. I mean, it's frightening, but it's a beautiful drive. I mean, it's, that picture is, look at this is when I'm in Sunday. Look at how beautiful the drive is. I mean, this is out of focus, but the wildflowers should be coming up soon. I don't know if with the rains we will have them, but the choyas, and I think these are called Thompsoni yuccas. I'm not sure. And, I mean, it's just a gorgeous ride. And so, what I try to do in that 40 miles is to be able to soak in. To be able to soak in, not meditate, but think. As I'm driving up to Bible study last Tuesday morning, as I told Richard and the people there, said, "God, I had, forgive me, a theological supernova." I finally think I understood why in that celebrated wrestling match between God and Jacob, God lets Jacob, wrestle to a draw. I mean, the trip itself is worthwhile without even concentrating on the destination. I stop and think. Gary, 62 years ago this summer, one of my sets of grandparents picked up my at that time only younger brother Russ and me. And we drove from Mundelein, Illinois to the Black Hills. I'm asking Gary because he's from South Dakota. And the population of South Dakota is small. They may be the only people from South Dakota. And, it was fabulous. It was the first time, this was before automobile air conditioning. Does anybody remember when we would put those canvas water bottles over the water bags? No auto air conditioning, no interstate highways. Okay. First time I ever crossed the Mississippi River. First time I crossed the Missouri River was going into Sioux Falls, which was the only town of any size in the whole state, at least until we got to Rapid City. We got on old two-lane highway, US 14, sign, eat at the Belvedere Hotel. Wall Drug Store, 200 miles, 160. Okay. And we did eat at the Belvedere Hotel. And after following kind of a diversion off the main road into the Badlands, we did get to Wall Drug Store. And at the Wall Drug Store, I mean, my folks had given Russ and me each $5. And $5 in 1956, well, we bought our plastic cowboy hats and had money left over. And we'd stop to eat. And I don't remember there was a nickel or a dime. I got to be honest with you, but you'd put a nickel or a dime into the jukebox and, hold me close, hold me tight. I want you, I need you. It was before Elvis had quite been the big thing, but I listened to I want you, I need you, I love you at every restaurant, between Sioux Falls and Denver and back. The trip matters. And so I guess what I'm thinking is that God had to have had a reason why the Israelites spent 40 years in the wilderness. Despite all that complaining, one thing they clearly had to learn was God provides. They might not have liked the manna, but it kept them from starving. God provides. And then, of course, fairly early in the trip, they get that gift. They get that gift. Last week I talked about EPROMs. If you weren't here last week, I talked about erasable, programmable, read-only memories, and how this kind of describes our human minds and souls. But they didn't have EPROMs in those days. Moses goes up on the mountain. And the point is, during that trip, the Israelites received the great gift, which is the basis for saying chosen people. They received Torah. They received Torah, which is oversimplified as law, but that's a good enough explanation. And these were 12 different tribes. These were 12 different tribes. And during that journey, they bond into a nation. there was a reason for the trip. The trip itself was worth the journey. We Christians have a destination that's different from Jericho. In fact, our destination isn't really a place, it's another world. Those who are doing Revelation, a new heaven and a new earth. But we are on a trip too. There are times when we divert into badlands, intentionally or otherwise. But there is a GPS that pulls us back onto the right road. And it's not in my iPhone. It's the cross. When we're looking to get back on the right road, we look at the cross. The journey matters. Lent, I like to think of Lent as maybe being like almost like pulling into a gas station, and you refill a car with petrol, the source of energy. Lent, I hope, is a chance when we can get a little bit more spiritual energy and insight for the trip that we're on. We're guaranteed getting to our journey, but life itself is indeed a trip. And I know I made a joke about Colorado and grass that nobody got. I don't mean trip as in LSD. I mean it's a trip. And there is so much along the way. Can we be attuned to listening as did Moses to God? Can we soak in that great gift of Torah? Can we learn to be bonded to other human beings as one people, the way the Israelites bonded into one people? Those are things for us to try to achieve on the trip, which is our lives. You know, it is interesting, the bonding. I was thinking about the fact that on the trips we go through life, I would like for everyone to have their Belvedere Hotel French fries. I would like for everyone to have that sense of hearing the music that they enjoy. I'll almost guarantee you that subconsciously my brother Russ and I are still bonded by the memories of it was a dirt street in Belvedere back in 1956. It was not a paved road, and now 20 years later, Carol and I took my own two sons on that trip. And we visited friends in Minneapolis first, so we didn't get through Sioux Falls, but we didn't travel US 14. We traveled I-90. And I've been talking about the Belvedere Hotel. Well, back then Belvedere seemed like a western town in a movie. And at this point in time, the hotel was no more, the streets were paved, a motel had opened and closed at the exit. We still got to the Badlands, and the Wall drugstore is almost more of a mall now than just a store. But I'll bet my kids have that memory of that trip buried in them. Younger son came one night to us in the motel and surrendered his blanket. He didn't need it anymore. We don't need blankets on our trip. I think we're all ready for that. But when we go on that trip, let our eyes always be open to see the choias, to see the wildflowers, to see what is indeed so beautiful in life, and to get some joy. You know, the last 2 weeks I tried to make the point that the God who created us, this Yahweh, if you remember from 2 weeks ago, it's the Yahweh story that creates Adam and Eve. And why does he create Eve? Because he wants the male to be happy. He never says whether he wants the women to be happy. And last week we talked again, just joking. The God who created us wants us to know joy. And so as we travel along this road, as we go to our inevitable destination, and it is inevitable because I think you said in Ephesians that God's provided it for us. Okay. Let us listen to the music, smell the flowers, keep our eyes on the cross so that we don't run off the road, and have fun. Because I think that's what Jesus wants for us. So, safe travels and happy travels in the name of the Son of God, Jesus Christ. Amen.